Hey y'all, I'm Hayden and I'm here with,
Coach Smith.
And I'm Promise.
and today I am y'all's host for y'all's Podclass Season 4, Episode 2. So, Coach, we just have a few questions about Black history for you, being a colored man in the school system.
Okay.
So, can you tell us what it's like to be a colored teacher?
This, I guess you could say it's interesting at times. Just trying to get everybody to understand, I guess, the importance of Black history, empowerment, things like that. But I don't look at it as a super big deal because I just look at individuals kind of as a whole. So, like, as long as I'm empowering kids as a whole unit, I feel like you'll learn the history about other people. You got to keep a humble mindset.
Great question. And great win last night, too. Coach
I appreciate it, man. Appreciate it.
Out there in Edmond, Santa Fe. And I just have a question for you. We're talking about people, like, influential and stuff. So who were some influential figures in Black history to you?
Of course, everybody knows the typical Martin Luther King, things like that. But I would probably say one of the first influential people. I mean, it's gonna sound crazy. Was a basketball guy actually, Allen Iverson. Because he influenced me because one, he was small. I was a short guy growing up, and two, he kind of was not rebellious, but he did things his way, and he kind of went about things his way, even though people didn't agree with it. But it changed the game. And if you look at the NBA today, everybody has tattoos, everybody has sleeves, everybody has headbands. So like he influenced the league way back in '90s or early '90s or late '90s, early 2000s. I would say him, and also I'll probably say somebody big. Probably my professor at Langston University. I learned a lot about Black history whenever I attended Langston University, graduated 2015.
So, Coach Shiv, can you tell us how some parts of your life have shaped, being a colored man? Like, I don't know how to word it. Hold on.
As far as like, what you mean shape? As far as like challenges I kind of went through?
Yeah, give me some like challenges you went through.
Well, growing up, I grew up in Duncan. I would probably say it's a small percentage of us. A lot of the Black kids or the Black culture is pretty much related. So it's not too many of us who kind of live on one side of town. We call it the hillside. And I'm not gonna say odds are against us. I'm not gonna use that as an excuse, but I'm gonna just say that it's a little more pressure, more responsibility that we have to put on our backs to kind of get through. But struggles, I would say, is just kind of opening people's eyes, understanding, again, that everybody's the same. Everybody's human. And you can't really judge nobody by the color. You got to really just judge them by the character. And as long as you kind of keep that mind frame, it keeps you away from either feeling less than or more power than. That makes sense.
That's a really good answer. That's a really good answer.
That's pretty good.
So, Promise, what about you? Have you had any, hardships in your life?
I've had some, people think I'm everything mixed in one, and I have to tell them I'm actually mixed too. And then it just goes to show that everybody can be mixed, and I just show that Black men like me and like colored men, like we can do things too. Like I try to get myself involved in the community, spread my name, my last name, because that's what I want to do. I want to make a name for my family.
I'll probably say the biggest difference maker will probably be me as a coach. You don't really see too many coaches that look like me. I got long hair.
Yeah.
And I got tattoos on my arm. So off the narrative, I'm probably guessing, I'll probably fit the mold of somebody else, probably not a coach or a teacher. But once you hear me communicate or hear me talk, then it changes your whole thought process on it. So, I feel like I'm not going to say taking the Allen Iverson route, but in a way, like, I'm going to do it my way because I still understand this is just the image. I'm still who I am, but the information I'm giving to the kids or the information I'm giving to others, that trumps your personal view of me. That makes sense?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a really good way to look at it,
Yeah.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it.
So how can we continue to celebrate and honor Black History Month past just this month?
I just ask questions, give kids information, but also, I think give kids information that fits things they're interested in too. Like, no disrespect, you can't give, and I love all Black history, but you can't just tell every kid to find the importance of Rosa Parks. I understand Rosa Parks did; she did stand up for Black women. I get that, but you got to find. As a teacher, you got to find where does that going to gain interest from a kid. Where does he gain an interesting topic to want to learn more about that? Find something that actually fits his interest or her interest, and I think that gives them more I would say, boost or confidence to want to learn more about Black history. I think if it flows into their interest, that's kind of what got me at school. Was she talked about Black history characters that were important to me or that kind of fit what I was doing in my life. So that made me actually want to go learn more. I don't like when everybody goes to the same people. Like, man, that doesn't fit everybody. So I think, but that all comes down to figuring out the student. You know, you gotta learn. You gotta break the student down first.
Yeah. Pretty good question.
Damn, that's a really good way to look at it. I'm not gonna lie. So, Promise, I got a question for you. So, since you're a light skin, you know, you got like a little mix between it.
Yeah.
Do you think it would be kind of harder not being really accepted completely by white people or Black people? Because, you know, you're kind of mixed in with both. Or do you find it easier?
I think being mixed is like, it's kind of cool because you got two different types of cultures, and it's just a good way to like get those two to mash up and teach others about how the other way you live. And like, I got to teach one side of my family how my other side lives. Like, it's just one of those things, like getting different perspectives in life too, from two different cultures. That's what I like about being mixed too.
Definitely probably gives you a good balance.
Yeah.
Yeah. It gives you like a different way to look at it from both sides. Yeah.
I think if as just humans, if we all just kept understanding, we'll be okay. If just keep understanding. And understand if you don't understand. Like, that's okay. It's okay if you don't know. It's okay.
Just ask questions and learn.
It's okay. Just ask questions. Like, then you learn. But if you keep that mind frame to try to always understand, I think you'd be okay with people. I mean, I think that's simple. It's a simple thought, but I think people don't like to think simple. In simple terms.
Well, I think that's all we got for today.
Yeah.
Thank you, Coach Smith.
I appreciate it, man. Appreciate y'all. Appreciate having y'all.
Appreciate you. So we're back. I'm here with
Serenity.
So Serenity. Who is a very influential Black figure in your life?
Like in my life that's alive?
In your life or someone in history, either one.
I would probably say my mom.
Why?
Because through like a lot of struggles, and I know that like stuff that's happened racially towards her, she's had to persevere through it. And also with dating a guy that is white and her being Black, like there's a lot of hate that comes from the different types of communities for that.
And has this like affected you in any way?
A little bit, honestly. I mean, it definitely had a influence on my life and getting to learn about different cultures, but it also showed me that like it shouldn't matter what the color of my skin is.
Have you ever like personally experienced any type of like racism towards you?
Yeah, actually. A lot from family members from my white side. Like, they've been like, oh my goodness, like, whenever my mom and dad got married and they first had me, it was really bad because they would always be like, oh, she doesn't belong here. She belongs to that side. Like, she's not the same color as us and this and that. And it was honestly really bad. But I think that's just because of the way that they were raised.
I asked Promise this earlier, but is it kind of harder for you to be accepted on the either side, or do you find it a little easier because, like, you know, you're white and Black, so?
I feel like it's easier in school than it is, like, in public, like, places. Especially, like, whenever I've been at family events or I go to certain towns, it's definitely still, like, a problem because they're still, like, it doesn't matter, you're still Black. And I'm just like, okay, but I'm both. So, and at the end of the day, why should it matter? It's just a color. It's a hue.
All right,
okay.
so Serenity, how can we promote equality in our community?
I would just say just be kind and be fair. And also don't look at the person for how they look or if their hair is a certain way or if they dress a certain way or if they talk a certain way because of that culture. I feel like that's a really big thing. If you just, you know, talk to people like they're human beings, it's not that hard to just be kind.
Okay.
Anyway, so how has Black history shaped our culture and society today to you?
I feel like it's definitely had an influence and an impact. I mean, we had the Black Lives Matter thing that happened, but the fact that it's continued in that now, like, even in movies, you see more Black actors and you see more black artists popping up at certain events and places. And I feel like some of that is just the media trying to fit in, but I feel like a lot of it is that it's finally made a stance as well. Because before it wasn't as known, but now I feel like it really ended up being influential on everything. So that, like, everything that we had to go through in the past wasn't for nothing.
Good answer. That's a very good answer.
And that's a really good answer.
Dang. So how can we continue to celebrate Black History past just this month?
Well, first off, Black History should be celebrated every day, every time, all throughout the year. I mean, what are we talking about? But I think that's just by making sure that we always, like, review what has happened in the past, but also, like, actually looking at people's backgrounds and trying to, like, figure out, like, you know, why they're different and where they came from and a little bit of their story, because not a lot of people know about their story. Like, I didn't know that I came from Haitian and that, you know, they had gone through certain things, and that's sad that I didn't know anything about my history from my personal background. And I feel like if we all explored different parts of our history, that it would really help all of us celebrate more throughout the year, like, what's going on.
So we should promote learning about culture and history. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay, tough. Well, I think that's really it.
Yeah.
Thank you
Yeah.
for coming on, Serenity.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Serenity.
Thank you for
Peace.
having me.
Y'all, we'll be back in a minute. Start us on this one. Okay. You ready, Promise?
Anyways, I'm Promise, and I'm back with
Coach Copeland.
Coach Copeland. So we've asked a bunch of people different type of questions, but I want to ask you more about bodybuilding. So how does it feel being a Black bodybuilder in your line of work?
Well, bodybuilding started when I was in the military. When I was, I went through a bout with depression, and plus when I was bored, it started with a superior, somebody who I looked up to. When I was in Iraq, he drugged me to the gym, and then and I didn't like it, honestly. You know, when you work out, it kind of hurts the next morning. You know, you had those pains and stuff like that, and then it started to guide me through my depression bouts. When I was bored, you know, things like that. When I would be deployed and there would be nothing going on, no missions or nothing like that, I would just go to the gym, and it became addictive to me. You know, especially when you see results, you see hard work paying off, and it just stuck with me. And then when I found out I had some injuries in the military where I couldn't, you know, play recreational sports and stuff like that, I could still lift weights. I could still compete in that arena. So that's when I'm not playing basketball or football, that's where I compete. That's where I go to find my happy place. So.
Okay. Do you think there's someone who, like, influenced you, like a person of color who influenced you to continue on going to the gym and keeping up and kind of helping you fight your depressive state?
It's like your favorite food. You know, you don't need motivation to go get your favorite food. You just need to be hungry.
Okay.
Anyway, so we've asked everybody this question. Is there any influential figures in Black history that, like, you admire?
Yeah. So before I get into that, I want to say that I support Black History Month.
Yeah.
I like the fact that there was a Black History Month. The guy's name eludes me, but his contributions that started Black History Week, it was a hard-fought battle to get Black History Week to become Black History Month. But I'm from Detroit. It's we like to call it a black city. It's rich in black culture, historic history, from Motown to there was a riot that happened there one time, and the push for Black history to be brought out of that city. So I'm like a Black history all year type of dude, but influential type of people. I like to think of Garrett A. Morgan. I was in the military, and I learned about, you know, having gas masks, you know, things like that, chemical warfare. I'm glad he invented that. Kept me safe. I didn't have to worry about chemical attacks when I was in Iraq and Afghanistan. He also invented the traffic light. Sometimes I am in a rush to get to work. Sometimes I'm kind of upset when I get that red light. But also, I'm being a bodybuilder. I eat a lot of peanut butter.
Peanut butter.
And George Washington Carver. You know, every time, you know, I need that protein. Like,
Yeah.
thank you, George Washington Carver, for that peanut butter. And then even in my, what I like to call my big boy days when I just want to eat heavy, George, I can't remember his last name, but he had a nickname. His nickname was Crumb. He invented the potato chips, and his nickname, his last name Crumb, is where we get crumbs from at the bottom of the bag. It's a lot of stuff that, you know, when you think about it, you dig down in it. Like I said, I look at Black history as American history.
Good perspective.
Black people, you know, help build this country. So when I don't see, I'm glad that we do have some time to stop and think about it. But when you think about Black history, is American history.
Damn, that's a real good perspective to have on. I'm not gonna lie.
So how can we continue to celebrate and honor Black History Month just past this month,
As a Black person, just continue to make history. Whether I do it myself or I inspire others. It's one of the reasons why I became a teacher. Whether I do it myself or I inspire others to, you know, when I'm gone, to be that Black history and pass it on to their ancestry. Like, yeah, that's what I mean. And a lot of, I don't want to go off on a tangent, but and I tell people, like, you know, everybody looks soft, like, you know, Black history, like this stuff, like the 1960s and fought and fights that our ancestors fought. Some of them, honestly, we're fighting it today. And I talk to especially my Caucasian counterparts, you know, and they say, well, what would they do if Martin Luther King was marching? What would they do if we were still getting sprayed, you know, like our ancestors did? The answer to that is, honestly, we're doing it today. We're doing it today. America was built on peaceful protests. There are still peaceful protests going on today. How do you react to those protests? You know, do you join in, try to figure out where it came from, or do you try to dismiss it? Same thing's going on today. So I tell people, what you would have done with Martin Luther King, you'll do it tomorrow.
Good answer.
Damn,
Very good answer.
That's a really good answer. Okay, so this question comes from our last guest. Shout out to you, Serenity. So, did you have you ever looked back into your own history? Like looking at any of your ancestors, seeing where you came from, like anything like that?
Well, I do. I have been big on history. That's why one of the reasons why I didn't have an issue being in the social studies department. My degree is actually in sports and exercise science. That's why I'm a coach. I like sports. I like science. I'm more of a. I wanted to be a biology teacher. When I first got here, I talked to Principal Kirshen. I asked him to be a biology teacher, but he said they had some social studies open. I said, you know, that's history. You know, one thing about history is no matter what you do, no matter how hard you try, you can't change it. History never changes. It's an easy subject. It's an important subject.
Man, that's a really good answer. I can't lie. As far as anything you want to add?
Nah.
Thanks. I think that's it.
Well, I appreciate y'all having me on here.
Hey, thank you, Coach Copeland. All right. And that's the end of Season 4, Episode 2 of LHS's Podclass. I'm Hayden.
No, I promise.
And that's it. Peace, y'all.
Peace.
All right. Appreciate y'all.